Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today I'm going to make a couple of quick thank you cards just using my jelly plate to build up a nice kind of grungy mixed media background. I'm also going to be using a stamp set from Dina Wakley Media. This is the Weird is Wonderful, or whatever it's got. I can't remember what the name of it is, or Weird is Wonderful, something like that. Anyway, oh, Weird is Good. There you go, it says there, look. Duh. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create some backgrounds using my jelly plate. I've just pulled out 3 colours from my kind of fluid paint. So I've got Lagoon, which is a nice kind of tealy colour. I've got Avocado, which is a nice kind of limey green. And I've got Pumpkin, which is a nice kind of orange. So that's going to be my colour combination for the background for this. I've got a little brayer. I've got a polypropylene mat here, which is what I'm going to use to spread my paint on. And just off to my side, off to my right, I've got some scratch paper just to clean off my brayer when I'm done with each colour. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the avocado colour and I'm just going to squirt some of that onto my little mat here and then load up my brayer. Just so I've got a nice kind of even coating all over, and I'm just going to add some of that colour on. I'm going to start building up the colours layer by layer. So I'll just clean off that brayer, and then I've got some smooth and slightly thicker paper than photocopier paper or printer paper. It's just slightly thicker. I'm just going to lay that down, pick up that first colour, just give it a nice little bit of a smooth, and then peel it off. Well, there's the first layer. So I'm going to grab the orange. I'm not even going to clean the mat. I'm just going to add a little bit of that paint onto my mat to the side. Come on, there we go. Don't want a huge amount, just enough to get a nice coating on the brayer. That should do me. Then I'm going to go over some of the areas just to kind of pick up and fill in, making sure I get some just on the edges. Just clean off the excess on my scratch paper and then bring back in my cardstock and then lay that down and then just give it a rub. I'm not particularly bothered about getting it bang smack in the same place each time. I think I've got an air bubble there, so we'll just get rid of that. Smoothing strokes, lift and then back down again, just to eliminate any bubbles. I think that'll do nicely. Liking that colour already. Okay, so I'm then going to grab my Lagoon colour, add a little bit of that, and then start adding that. Build up those colours quite nicely. Grab my paper again and then back down. Not even waiting for the paint to dry. Go straight on, straight in, up, and then get rid of the air bubbles and then peel off again. Liking that, but I've got too many white areas, so I'm going to go back in again with some of that green that I've got left on and then pick up some of that orange and then just add a little bit more blue actually like that blue a lot. I'm not bothering to do any masking off. I'm going to put that back down again. I like to create kind of really nice grungy backgrounds with my jelly plate. I'm not being one of these type of people who likes to build up scenes or different kind of layers. I just like mine grungy. Look at that. Love that. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I need to clean off my jelly plate, clean up my mat, and then I'll be right back once I've done that. Okay, so now that my background is dry, I want to add a little bit of mark making into this. So what I've got is a little piece of bubble wrap, which I'm actually just going to tear. Just use that. I've got a couple of circular lids that I want to use for mark making. I've also got one of those silicone trivets that's been cut up. I'm going to use that for creating some interesting marks on the page too. I'm just trying to get rid of some of that excess paint that's flaking off so it doesn't go all over my lap. So to do the marks, I'm going to use a lighter colour, and I've got this kind of peachy, very pale peachy sort of colour. I'm going to add some of that onto my mat, just like that, and then with a brush I'm going to grab the bubble wrap and I'm just going to paint it on, and then just start adding that around the page so we're not getting some nice kind of texture into the background. Just loading the bubble wrap up, and wherever there was kind of like a white spot, I'm going to just add a layer of this pale kind of peachy colour, just to add a little bit of interest and take away from that stark white. And then again, just there, and then maybe I'll add a little bit more up top up there. And I'm not really thinking too much, I'm not overthinking the whole process of this. It's literally just more kind of intuitive play than anything else to create this background. There's no kind of real planning going into it. I'm going to add a little bit more just there at the bottom. There we go, perfect. And then I can just throw that bubble wrap away and not worry about it. So again, I'm going to grab the trivet and then just pick up those lines and just lightly turn it over and just drop it down. So I'm picking up a nice kind of like little grid pattern. And I'll do the same over this side. And then a little bit more just over here, just create a little bit of space just there for it to go. Perfect. Put that to one side. I probably will wash that off a bit later on, and then we can use the circles, just evening out the paint on my mat, and then we can just start dropping those in random places, just to kind of tie it all together. It doesn't matter if some of them disappear altogether, because that's just the nature of the beast. Just randomly going around, adding in some of those shapes. And I love the fact that they kind of start overlapping. Circle kind of mirrors the bubble wrap, but the colour, because it's the same as the grid pattern, all kinds of help blend together. And I've not gone any darker than that. So I've got a smaller one here. So I'm just going to pick a smaller circle and just add some of those in there too. It's not significantly smaller, so I thought it was a little bit smaller than it was, but it ain't. But never mind. Okay, I shall put those to one side and leave those to dry, get that brush washed, all this dried off, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so everything's now nice and dry. I've brought out my paper trimmer. I'm just going to take off the excess just from the sides there, just because I want a clear kind of level playing ground when I'm deciding how big I'm going to create or use for the backgrounds of my cards. Now, I've created some flip top cards. These are just A6 size. I've cut straight down the middle of an A4 sheet of cardstock and then just creased and folded it in the middle to get that top folding card mechanism. So this is A6 European size. For American size it's probably about A2. Okay, so what I need to do now is just to cut up this sheet of paper into 4 kind of equal sized pieces. So 210 there, so I can go at 105. So that's going to 105 about there. Perfect. And then I know that I've already cut some off this side, so it's going to be smaller than 297. So I won't be able to do 144, which is what I wanted to do. That's about 25, so that's going to be about 12 and a half. Around about 12 and a half. And I'll do the same thing at that size, at that side there. Okay, so that means I'll need that trimmer again in a minute. So that means that it will be wider. So I'm going to need to create some kind of gap in the middle to try and even that out. So what I need to do, I think, is probably cut off maybe about 1 centimetre at each side, and we'll just see what that looks like. So let me just grab the first one, turn that around, and then that's about 1 centimetre there. And then let's just see what that looks like in the middle of the card. See, that's not too bad now. I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've trimmed down all of my mixed media backgrounds. I've taken one of the stamps. In this case, I've got this one first of all. So that's missing off there. And I've placed it just where I want it to be on there. And then I've just closed it down just to get that position. So I'm going to grab my jet black archival ink and let's see if we can get a decent impression without rocking everything. This is the first time obviously that I've used these stamps, so I'm probably going to have to make sure that I get a real nice thick even inking. Probably going to have to do more than one impression anyway, so, and then drop that down. I'm expecting maybe to do 2 or 3. There we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just not quite right. Just keep it going. Do a bit of CPR on it. So it seems to be pulling up off the paint, which is a bit weird, but hey ho. Also probably doesn't help the fact that my archival ink probably isn't the juiciest. Let's try a different one. If this fails or doesn't work as well, I may try, see if I've got a stays on. Okay, let's just give that a push. And then see what happens. Yeah, it's pulling back off that paint, but that's not too bad. Let me see if I can try a stays on. Haven't used one for a while. Let's see, I've got a brand new one here, look, not even opened. Smell of a fresh stays on. Yummy. Okay, let's see what happens. It could be the fact that I'm doing this over the top of acrylic paint. Now that looks a lot juicier. Okay, let's see what happens with that. Like it, like it. It's still pulling off a little bit, but not a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off, put it to one side to dry, and then I'm going to stamp one each of the other 3 images on the other 3 remaining card fronts. So once I've done that, I'll be right back. So you can go over there for the minute. So I've done all 4 of my stamped images onto my mixed media background now, and I'm going to take one of the sentiments from this set, which is the normal is boring one, and I'm going to put that just on a little acrylic block, and I'm just going to grab that same stays on. And I know I could have done this when I did the stamps, but I hadn't decided on which one that I was going to use or the placement or where I was going to put it. So I'm just going to literally just stamp it down, one on each one, in different places, just like that. And then I'm going to be happy with that. So let me put my stays on ink to one side now. And those 2 archival inks that are probably bound for the trash can. You stick back down on there, and then I can bring in my card fronts. So I have those, and I'll just have a quick look to see how that's fitting now, and that's looking rather good like that, but I think I need to add a little bit of a border all the way around just to kind of tie everything together. So I'm going to use, if I can find it, my vintage photo. No, that's an oxide, don't want that one. That's in the wrong place. That's me putting things back in the wrong place. That's the right one, an ordinary vintage photo. And I'm just going to go around the edges of each one, just kind of grunging up and darkening up, getting rid of those raw white edges. I think probably I should have used, in fact, let me do that. If we're going to do it, let's do it properly. Let's do it properly. Let's bring in that black mat again. And I can use that as a blending mat. There we go. Much better error. Let's get those corners. Bring in some of that grunge around the edges, which will help tie that dark chocolate brown cardstock. Just like that. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but as good as. And of course, if you're the type of person that likes to add embellishments and that kind of thing, you could either add some string, twine, staples, or even if you're one of those lucky crafters that has one of those little mini sewing machines, you could even sew these to your cardstock, if that's the way you're so inclined. If I had one, I would do. Because sometimes I like the look of the stitching. It just kind of helps to finish it all off. And I know these edges are curling a little bit, which is fine. I'm not going to stick them down flat anyway. I want them to be a little bit proud of the edge. That's better. Grungy corners, can't go wrong. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. I'll need to get that matte white down later on. Like it a lot. Okay, so I'm going to grab some spirit glue. And then, one at a time, add some of that glue onto, oh dear, it would help if I actually opened it, wouldn't it? There we go, that's much better. I am leaving the edges. Because that gives me a little bit of wiggle room just to be able to get that lined up. And then I can just curl in like so. Like it. I love doing cards like this because they're so easy. Don't really take a lot of time. But depending on your colour choices, your stamps, you can make them look really, really effective. Here we go. Love it. A little bit of wiggle room is giving me plenty of time just to adjust, to make sure I've got even borders all the way around. But even though it's mixed media and all grungy, we still want some semblance of order, even if there's just a little. Deliberate chaos. See, if you wanted to, you could tear these and add a little bit of book text behind it if you wanted to. Or even layered onto a different colour cardstock first. Go. So you can get all four in. See, I may still actually add a couple of staples into those. Have I got some copper staples still in my machine? Let's have a look. Let's take this one. Yep, like that. Copper staples. Let's do all 4 corners on this one. Like it. Let's vary it up a little bit. And again, let's do all 4. Do you know what? I like it so much I think I'm going to do all 4 on each one. No! Typical. Be right back. Okay, I'm all replenished. So there we go. So that's all 4 corners, and we can still scruff those edges up now. So there we go. I have 4 little cards now that I can send out as little thank yous as and when needed.